अर्थशास्त्री और बीजेपी की राष्ट्रीय प्रवक्ता संजू वर्मा ने कहा, अमेरिका के प्रतिपक्षीय शुल्कों और उनके भारत के व्यापार पर प्रभाव को लेकर काफी चर्चा हो रही है। क्या इसका भारत पर नकारात्मक असर पड़ेगा? नहीं, मैं कुछ उदाहरण देना चाहूंगी। प्रतिपक्षीय शुल्क आमतौर पर तभी नुकसान पहुंचाते हैं जब किसी देश का अमेरिका के साथ बड़ा व्यापार घाटा हो, जैसा कि चीन के मामलों में देखा गया है। हालांकि भारत का व्यापार घाटा जो 2 साल पहले $45 मिलियन था, अब $36 बिलियन के अधिशेष सुपर प्लस में बदल चुका है। इसलिए भारत के पास अमेरिका के साथ ना तो बड़ा व्यापार घाटा है और ना ही बहुत अधिक व्यापार अधिशेष है।
Hello friends, there's a whole lot of news coming out with respect to the impact of reciprocal tariffs by the US and how that will play out with respect to the Indian trade basket. Will it impact India negatively? No. And why I say that? Let me give you a few examples. Reciprocal tariffs necessarily impact a country adversely only if it has a yawning trade deficit with the United States of America, which is the case with China. Now, in the case of India, our trade deficit with the United States of America 2 years back was $45 billion and since has turned into a surplus of $36 billion. So we neither have a huge trade deficit nor a huge trade surplus with the US. We have a marginal trade surplus. So the impact of retaliatory tariffs by the US on India will be minimal to that effect. Also, don't forget, our terms of trade with the US are positive, not negative. Reciprocal tariffs impact a country negatively only if that particular country has negative terms of trade. Why do we have positive terms of trade with the US? It is because we export more than 7,436 items to the US but import only 5,749 items. The third and more important point is this. One of our biggest agri-export items to the US is rice of different varieties, basmati, non-basmati, brown rice, white rice, parboiled rice, so on and so forth. Now, you will be surprised to know that in the last 2 years, India has actually reduced import tariffs on various varieties of rice from 20% plus to barely 10%. We've also removed non-tariff barriers on various varieties of rice. Today, we don't have an export tax on rice. We don't have a minimum export price with respect to the export of non-basmati rice. We don't have a minimum floor price with respect to the export of basmati rice. So the other point is, by doing away, by scrapping non-tariff barriers and by reducing tariff rates on the export of rice from India to the US, we have actually been ahead of the curve. We have been competitive. So we don't need to reduce tariff rates any further. Now, on the contrary, look at the United States of America. What are the big exports of US into India? It is almonds, walnuts, special variety of apples, raw cotton, and some form of pulses. Now, on all these products that the US exports to India, for instance, apples or special variety of almonds and walnuts, the tariff is as high as anywhere between 30 to 50%, and in some cases, anywhere between 50 to 150%. So if reciprocal tariffs come into play, which is what the US is talking of, it is not India but the US which will have to reduce tariff rates on apples, reduce tariff rates on almonds, reduce tariff rates on walnuts, reduce tariff rates on raw cotton, reduce tariff rates on some form of pulses that it exports into India. India really won't have to reduce tariffs much on a variety of agri exports because India has already in the last 2 years reduced tariff rates on a whole host of agri products. We've been ahead of the curve. The other very interesting thing is, if you look at, gems, pearls, precious stones, this is also something that we export in a big way to the US. Now, you will be surprised to know that in the last 2 years, the import tax on gold and platinum has been reduced from anywhere between 15 to 25% to now just 6% or 6.4%. Again, the import tax on lab-grown diamonds, cut diamonds, polished diamonds, colored gemstones, there also we've reduced import tax from 10% or 7.5% to just about 4.5 to 5% on an average. So again, in this particular segment also, we have reduced import tariffs and done the needful. We've been ahead of the curve, whereas the US still has to reduce tariff rates on precious gemstones, which are very much on the higher side.